Hey there guys, and welcome back, and here we are. This is the project I've been talking about for weeks now. Finally have it together and it works. Alright, so what exactly is going on here? So this is what I was putting together for the demo for a Stream Deck, and then it just basically spiraled out of control into a billion other things. So let me go ahead and get the find it in here just a second. There it is. All right, here's the Arduino code I got running in the background, and what you can see here it's doing. So this press 225. This would be sending commands back to, as a Stream Deck, it's sending keyboard shortcuts, macros, back to my computer, acting as a second keyboard. That's number one. Obviously, number two is the audio, as you can hear right there. I checked, and the audio is a little bit low, which is why I'm not running music right now. But one of those things, I just picked these up 5 below, so can't expect much else. The only other speakers I have are on my computer, and I don't want all the system sounds coming through there while I'm trying to do this, so that's the deal there. Aside from that, what else do we have going on here? So over here on this side, another piece of technology that I want to use in future projects. This is a magnetic encoder. Now, if you were following the RGB indicator for the extruder, the Prusa contest we did, I said that we could have used a magnetic extruder, but I couldn't find any magnetic extruders where the shaft could go through the extruder. This is one of the ones I found that does not require a shaft going through the extruder. So I'm using it in this situation because it doesn't have to go through. Also, very important, and I totally skipped out on it. If you do not recognize this, this is from an animation. Well, first off, this is Korone Inugami. Obviously, you should know that part. If you don't know, for whatever reason, this is from an animation by Tian Nya. It's one of those things. It's extremely funny animation that immediately came to my mind when I started putting this together. I started coming up with an idea of how to do this interestingly. So I reached out. They said that I could use the art. Very grateful for that. If you watch the animation, you'll know that this has something to do with the animation. I'll leave that to you. You can go watch the animation and find out. Otherwise, again, just thank you for letting me use the art, and I'm very happy that it turned out as well as it did. So back to this. The magnetic encoder rather is useful for getting positioning. This is an absolute encoder, which is more useful than an incremental encoder because it always gives you the position. This is most similar, well, it's closer to an absolute potentiometer than it is an actual encoder, insofar as it will, no matter where you're at, the second you turn it on, it will tell you exactly where it's at. As for an incremental encoders, there's many different types of incremental encoders, but many of them use photo eyes. Well, they use light sensors more or less a lot of times with a pass-through for detecting the code movement. The alternative to that is also Hall effect sensors is another way to do it. But we're getting too deep into the weeds. This the point of this stream is not really to go into all the specifics, but just to have a lot of fun with this guy, you know, and enjoy the hilariousness of it, and B, just to introduce the the concepts behind this project that we'll be looking at in the future. And I'm just checking some settings really quick, so don't mind me. Okay, that's what I thought. So, one of these things, I closed down, my streaming equipment earlier after double checking this, that everything was working, and it evidently did not save my settings, which is why the stream is not changing every time I spin this. So that would explain that one. Very unprofessional of me. If you'll just give me a second. Basically, it's one of those things inside of your streaming software. You have an area that you can set the hotkeys, right? all you have to do with the Arduino, that's what we got inside here. I didn't get to that part yet. But the Arduino inside here is acting as a keyboard, as I mentioned earlier. But inside of the Arduino, the code that we're actually running, it sends specific key codes back through it. So what you do is you match up the key codes that you want to program up to the hotkeys that your stream is looking for. Which, again, for whatever reason, Stream did not save my hotkeys, unfortunately. I could have swore I hit save before I quit, but one of those things, used to things not going exactly as I planned on my streams, so that is quite alright. Nothing new here. So let's see if this works now. Oh, that's the same face we just had. Still doesn't seem like it's doing it. So one of those things. I considered recording a video of it working just in case this happened, just in case when I went live it suddenly decided not to work. And I said, nah, you know, it's been working the last 3 times I tested it. Why wouldn't it be working this time? And one of those things, you'd be surprised. You'd be surprised. So moving on to the rest of the conversation here. Looking at the box down here, now that I've got most of the information out of the way that you need to understand this, this spinning and starting to spin, that is obviously coming from the encoder, and the encoder is picking up that the position has changed, so I'm using that to set a start and then checking back to see if it's still spinning later. The 0 right here would be the face. Yeah, that would be the face. So we've got current face of 1, which is offset to 0, new face of 4. And then playing 5, it's one of those things, the MP3 player that's inside of here, which I haven't really talked about, but there's a serial MP3 player. And that starts at 1. That's 1 indexed, not 0 indexed. So I have to increase that by 1. So that playing 5 is just letting us know that we're about to send this serial command right here. This serial command right here, this X01, X05, would be the callback to the serial MP3 player saying folder 1, file 5. EF is end of file. Well, that's not actually what it means, but yeah, that's the end marker. The 261 is the key code that we're... actually, no. I take that back. Ignore the 261 for right now. Mode is the other important thing. I'll get to that in just a second, but pressing 229 would be the ASCII code for the key that we're sending over. And 229 should be, in theory, if we're on face number 4, I'm pretty sure that's supposed to be scene number 4, but let me just pull up the code really quick to double check. Oh, actually, I don't have the ASCII codes in the code anymore. I'm just using key shortcuts. So anyway, that is basically everything that you need to know at the moment. This data received correctly and completed playing number 4 is responses from the MP3 player. The MP3 player is, like I said, it's just a standalone serial MP3 player. It technically doesn't need an Arduino. It can work with just about anything. So that is that. Not much to say there. That's actually one piece of this whole entire puzzle that I'm not sure I'll be using in the future. Another thing to note about how this is put together is I know this is making noise right now, but when I first designed this, before I started adding all the bells and whistles to it, I wanted it to spin and stop at a place without any kind of ratcheting effect, without any kind of physical interference that would make noise. Because, again, if it's going to be a stream deck, you don't really want that coming over on stream. The issue here is one issue that, well, first off, obviously the way I solved that is by using magnets. Let me just state the obvious. That's what the magnets are for. The magnets are in there so that that acts as my positioning. Issue is that sometimes it catches in between like this and it doesn't quite get to the next magnet. I think in part that might be because of these bolts I'm using to keep the thing together. There were other ways to keep it together. I didn't really need the bolts, but I think that might be part of it because the bolts do stick out further than the magnets and therefore are magnetized to the side. I think that might be the problem, but regardless, that is the overview of all the technology that's in here. I will be going over the code used and whatnot in a future stream. I didn't really want to put that in this stream because I wanted to just keep this as a demo showcase as all the stuff this can do. And along those lines, there's one more thing, just committing to the bit that I wanted to do. So if you'll give me half a second, I'm gonna flip this switch, which you might have been curious about. And then as soon as my phone is caught up, and let me just pull up the other thing I need right now. Okay, and here we go. Time for some fun. So, first thing to mention is this is, yeah, that's fun. All right, this is quite obviously not my model. If you have looked at, and I'm not saying that I expect you to have looked at, but if you have looked at VTuber Studio, or if you go to look at VTuber Studio, this is one of those free sample models that they have in there. This model, just because they put the what do you call it? The disclaimer rather on the app when you open it up. This is not owned by VTuber Studio. This is Live 2D's model that I assume they hand out for sampling. So one of those things. I got the microphone in front of my face, which is why I'm assuming the lips aren't working as well as it was earlier when I was testing it. I moved my head a little bit to the side, so it looks like it's picking it up more. So yeah, I figured one of those things. If I'm going to go ahead and do this whole entire bit with some Mimi stuff, I may as well commit to it. And one of these things, now that I flip the switch, give it a second. There we go. So now I've switched it over. The switch changed what the callbacks were inside of this, and you can see now it's actually controlling the model. It's actually doing stuff with the model. Changed. So the one before that obviously was an animation. This one has changed the expression on the model. It's one of those things with a Stream Deck. This would be more, you know, this will work just the same. It's just one of these funny things now. Bonk, bonk, bonk. So yeah, I figured this was a fun little thing to throw in here, just to cap it off. This one actually is easier to show than my streaming software, so I will go ahead and do that. Let me come in here, and this should pop up when you, yeah, there you go. It does pop on stream. So one of those things in here on the right hand side. Let me close the serial monitor really quick. There we go. You can see I just set up these hotkey settings, and then one of those things. It's very simple, very straightforward, so I don't think I really have to explain it, but inside the software, 1 through 6 were stream commands, and then when I flipped the switch, that changed it to 7 through 8, or 7 through, so it was 7 through 0, and then I had to add plus and minus to get the extra commands in there, because I have 6 sides, so I need 12 commands total, and there are only 10 digits. So I added in some other ones. One thing I will mention about this while I'm here, you'll see this pre-clear hat and pre-clear smile. As it turns out, you can actually stack. This software lets you actually stack facial expressions. I don't know how exactly it resolves how they get put together, but you can have multiple going at the same time. So since I only wanted one of them at a time, you know, where is there? That one. We'll put that one back on. So because I only wanted, oh, not that one. Where's no happy face? No happy face. All right. So because I only wanted one of them at a time and I didn't want it mishmashing together, I added these pre-clears in here, and it does execute top to bottom, which means that this one, which is on Alt Control number pad 0, and this one also Alt Control number pad 0, get resolved in that order, and therefore it clears right here, remove all expressions, and then sets the next one. So that's how that's set up. So, yep, that is everything. And that is all the fun stuff that I put together for this demo. Again, I just wanted to showcase different stuff that would be coming up on stream. So, for example, Obviously, the Stream Deck is something I've talked about on stream, wanting to put one together because I would like to have one. We will not be using this. This is relatively impractical to switch around like this. Plus, it doesn't have toggle options. So, for example, you would want to be able to toggle microphone or Windows sounds on and off. You obviously can't do this with this because this is one command at a time, right? There's no way to toggle. Well, there technically is. So I could, in theory, program it so that when I switch back, it could turn off, but it seems a bit unnecessary to me. So one of those things. This is for fun. This is for memes. It's, what's fun to do. So Stream Deck, as I said, the encoder actually is pretty interesting. There's a couple things I'm thinking about that one. One is obviously the arcade prototype stick. We can do different controls with this encoder. That was the first thing that came to mind. And then, based on the JavaScript debugger that I wrote, it occurred to me we could also do some live feedback from an encoder to either JavaScript or to a Python backend, like Flask app, just a little Flask app or something. So that's an idea. So we could have some external thing that then gets uploaded either via the USB cord to JavaScript or just using an ESP32, whatever, any kind of IoT device, just using an IoT device to update to the cloud and then displaying that on a website. So one of these things, let me go ahead and clear my face right now. Or actually, it should be that one, right? That one clears my face. I think that one cleared my face. May not have. All right. Anyway, regardless. So those are two ideas. Obviously, the joystick one, can be any number of ideas. We can build on that any number of ways. And then the MP3 player, I don't really know that it's... I can't really think of anything off the top of my head that I want to use it for right away. I'm not particularly interested in doing an actual soundboard. Obviously, this is half soundboard, half Stream Deck. But we'll see whether or not we don't pull that out for it. And even if we don't, again, I'm going to go over all the code that's in this thing. So if you needed to know how that thing worked, I'll go over that in another stream. So we will use that as a stream topic in the future. But again, in terms of projects that I'm actually interested in building, can't say that I have anything in particular for the MP3 player. So yeah, that's the rundown. That's all the stuff that I was putting together for this demo. That's everything that's gone into the demo so far, and honestly was lots of fun. Have enjoyed this. So thank you for watching. Obviously a very short stream. It was just a demo stream. But if you're interested in other content or interested in any of these projects that I'm mentioning going forward, then by all means check them out. Otherwise, again, thank you to Tian Nya for allowing me to use the art here, because this really made it, and it let me do something silly like this over with my V2 model over here. So yeah, that's everything that I had to say on this one. And aside from that, wherever you're at in the world, I hope you have a great, sorry about that. Wherever you're at in the world, I hope you have a great and wonderful day, afternoon, or evening, and I will catch you next time.